case is in Hahira, correct?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, these next two requests are from the same applicant for almost the same property. They overlap each other, but one's a zoning change for a portion of the property. The other one is a variance request for the entire property. I need to describe the geography here, and I would like to describe and discuss them together because it's one project. But when it comes time to take action, particularly since there are different geographies of boundaries, that we do that separately through two separate motions, two separate votes. The applicant is the last one sitting in the room out there, so I'm hoping the public hearing portion will be quickly done. So let me move very quickly through this. So first is the zoning case. You see the property split zone R10 and RP. The proposal is to make all of it RP. And the purpose of that is it's existing use as an apartment complex. They're not proposing any expansions to the facility, but simply wanting to subdivide it into two parcels. Getting it all under one zoning that allows multifamily as a permitted use makes that process a whole lot easier. After the rezoning, then we get into variances that make the subdivision of the property possible. So starting with the geography, the rezoning is only the backyard. Get it zoned the same as the front yard. Character area, neighborhood activity center. Again, it supports RP type zonings and those kinds of uses. Aerial imagery, this is right near the center of Hahira at the traffic light. Quite honestly, I've lived in the community for 32 years. I did not know this development was here because I don't look at it when I go by on Church Street, but it has been there 50 plus years at least.
30s.
Yeah, a very long time. It is grandfathered in from near the beginning of time, which is part of the consideration when we get into the variances. So in your packet, you have two survey drawings. What I put at your station this evening is 11 by 17s. If you will, let's jump ahead to this one, the one that is in color. This is the piece of artwork that actually explains the whole thing of what's going on. If you look at this map, the part that is outlined in the yellow-orange, that's the backyard. It's currently zoned R10, proposed to be RP. You see how the zoning boundary cuts through the buildings, cuts through the site. The history of that is when Hahira adopted zoning many, many, many years ago, although it was many years after this was developed, the zoning map of Hahira since the beginning has always split this property with RP in the front, R10 in the back. So that's been an existing condition for a very long time, and we're talking over 30 years.
Well,
for the zoning part of it. So it has been a non-conforming use in terms of its backyard for many, many years. On this same map, if you look at the green, that is sort of what I call the rectifying area where we make things a little better. Right now, the property has 7 dwelling units. 6 of them are grouped together essentially in one building with one little outbuilding. 6 apartments. That is the northern parcel that's being proposed. The southern parcel that's being proposed is for a single-family residence, which right now is unit number 7, or the 7th unit of the complex. My understanding from the applicant is there's been a tenant living there for a long time who's interested in purchasing the property. So this whole exercise is 1, cleaning up the zoning map, 2, fixing a non-conforming situation which has existed for many, many years, and allowing the subdivision of the property so that the house, which is very unlike the rest of the property, could be subdivided off. So it's to split the house from the apartments. So to do this, it takes some delicate engineering and survey work. So if looking at this map, and then also a later survey, I'm going to skip ahead to it. There you can see it in this one on the screen. So you see the zoning line of the yellow versus the rest of it. Also in here, if you look at the dark line, it's the subdivision line that's being proposed to split the 2 buildings. issue and the challenge is the two buildings are very close together. So in RP zoning, we have side yard setbacks required, I think, 8 feet. The buildings on each lot are only 12 feet apart. So something's got to give. So what we are proposing is to run a property line exactly halfway between the buildings, tweak a little bit in the front and the back based on fence lines and driveway locations. So if you look along the Church Street frontage, where the proposed line would come and hit the street is at the corner of the driveway. So it'll be forever known that's where it is, rather than going down the middle of the pavement. What that does is create and help non-conforming situations. So if you flip to the second packet, which is the variance case, there are 4 variances being requested. The first one has to do with lot width. RP zoning requires a minimum lot width of 60 feet. There's plenty of frontage total for the property, 122 feet total, but they're not splitting it in the middle. There's a larger piece and a smaller piece. The smaller piece would only have 32 feet of frontage, 32 feet of lot width. That needs a variance. So that's the first one. Second one is front yard setbacks. They're supposed to be 15 feet from the road. The apartment building with 6 units in it for many decades has a setback of 7 feet. So this would grant relief to that and get it out of non-conformity. The house that's proposed to be on its own parcel, no issue with the front yard setback. The third one is side yard setback. Currently, both buildings are right up against the outer property lines to the north and south. 1 foot is probably generous. It's supposed to be 8 feet. So again, variance is needed for those buildings. 12 feet between them, or the property line between, yields a 6-foot setback for either side. Again, a variance for side yard. And lastly is unit density. RP zoning and Hahira allows a maximum of 10 units per acre. Collectively, under RP zoning for everything, the density calculates at 11.48. That is non-conforming. By separating the apartments onto its own parcel, the house is free and clear from that requirement, but the apartment density goes up because the land has gotten smaller. So that density increases to 13.95. Again, another variance. So the recommendation from staff is to approve the rezoning, to get all under RP, to clean things up and make things eligible, and then approve these 4 variances as listed with the conditions for each one as listed there on that cover page. So that is both cases together based on geography, taking a very old situation, bringing it into today's world. Be glad to try and answer any questions.
I would really like to ask a highly educated question.
Sure.
I'm just as lost as I can be. There's a lot of detail right here, man, Martin.
Well, that's why I tried to walk through this diagram right here. This is the total picture.
I have a question.
Now, that being said, and
Highly educated. Looking at the aerial photograph,
Yeah.
this property is not at the corner of Church and 122, is it?
no, it's 1 lot north.
Okay, and what is at the corner?
It is a different puzzle.
Yeah.
A mixed-use building with commercial, office, and residential all mushed together. Also been there since the dawn of time.
Is what is being requested going to affect that property at all?
No.
Okay, thank you.
There is no physical change being proposed for the property, simply drawing a line on paper to separate the buildings.
All right.
To help underscore this, we run through these pictures. This is the front yard, the 7-foot setback in the front.
No, where's that?
That is this house on the right, the apartments on the left, the driveway on, that you see on the left is for the apartments. There's a wall running down there, okay? That's not the proposed property line, but it's close. And then it gets right between the buildings, threading a needle. The other side of the apartments, this is the north side, also you see 1 foot or less setback there. The back of the apartments, that's where the parking, or the main parking area is, swinging around to the right into the backyard. This is the backyard behind the house, already fenced in to go with the house. The back of the house, and then the property you're asking about is what's beyond. That's the two-story building. What you're seeing here is the residential part of that building. And then out to Church Street, there's the traffic light. Swinging around to the right, first our Hahira Baptist Church. This is not a residential neighborhood along the street. R10 zoning in here does not make any sense. It is what it is. And directly to north, as another landmark, there's the post office. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Further questions for staff? All right, would the applicant like to stand up and speak in favor of this case?
I'm Mason Barfield. I'm representing my sisters, Lemaka properties, consisting of Lel Barfield, Harbo, and Kay Barfield, Lee. And frankly, I know it's very complicated, and I'm gonna try to answer your question. So why the hell would we want to do this? And so I'm gonna try to get you out of here quick, because most of you are of my generation. I know your prostate is telling you need to get out of here. This property goes back. The property on the corner was originally an old hotel. It was built as an old hotel. If you look at the old pictures of Hahira before the street tree was paved, 41 wasn't even paved. That hotel was there, was called the Hahira Hotel. It had two stories. The people who owned that hotel owned the property next to it, which is what we're talking about tonight. They owned that property, and there were two structures on it. One of them was a house that they lived in. They owned the hotel, they lived in it. And the other structure was a structure they provided to the people who worked there at the hotel. So that's why there were two separate structures there. They provided housing to a couple of people who worked the hotel. It stayed a hotel to probably the late 50s, after which time it changed ownership and was turned into an apartment type of situation. The hotel side of it was. In the 80s, my parents, H.M. Barfield and Martha Ann Barfield, bought this property. It's one parcel, but it has two separate addresses, 106 and 108 North Church Street. My dad had a vision for the big house. He turned it into 6 efficiency, 1-bedroom apartments. You walk in, you've got a living room, an eat-in kitchen. All of them are, these are big rooms in there. All of them are pretty nice sized 1-bedroom apartments. You have of course, a bedroom and a bath. And there's 6 of those. Most of the people who have lived there over the years, and practically every person who's lived there since the 80s, has been a older, retired person, mostly female, that have lived in that apartment. Not a lot of turnover. Let me say that forever. My father died in 2007. My mother passed in 2003. And of course, me and my sisters inherited the property. And my mother always said the resident in the small house is a young man who my mother she mentored and counseled him quite a bit and brought him on. And he has a severely autistic son. And she always told me, and he had always said, now, Ms. Parker, if you ever sell this property, I'd like to buy it, because if you know anything about an autistic child, they get used to their surroundings. It's very tough for them to make a change. So he said, Ms. Barfield, if you ever sell this property, I'd like the opportunity to buy it from you. He had never owned a house in his life. And my mother said, fine. Well, she dies. She kept telling me, if ever it comes up, I'd like you to try to see if you could separate these properties and sell that property to him. So when she passed, I talked to the young man. He has arranged for his financing to buy the property. So all that was left up to us, me and my sisters, to accommodate him, was to get the property divided. And so that's how I went to Matt. I worked with Matt. I'm on the city council at Hahira, and I worked with Matt quite a bit in his working with us. And Lauren Hurley, I commend both of them for the work they put in on this. We had a conversations on how to make this work and how to make it happen. But it's doable. You're talking about two properties that have been there since the thirties. So your approving or disapproving isn't gonna change anything about where those things sit. It's gonna be there, and it's been there for 80 years. And so, I'm just asking that, you approve it so that we can accommodate this young man and provide him the opportunity to own this property and, make this possible. It would've been much easier for us to have left this one property and sold both of them together. We've been advised, for estate purposes to do that. There were several properties that we're trying to liquidate in Hahira that we had. Most of them are, I think the youngest one is 60 years old that we have, and my parents have had for quite some time. So, any questions that you might have about why we want to do this?
No questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Gretchen, would you like to, speak out against this case?
Oh, God, no.
All right, well, since no one else is left,
You want double motions?
Yeah, it's both, there's separate geographies, separate requests, let's vote on them separately. So the first one is the rezoning
yes.
from R10 to RP.